Hi guys, it's Amy, and you have found Amy Loves Crochet. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you clicking on my video. There's no crying in crochet, except when. First off, anytime you feel like it, okay? Let's just be funny about the title of the video, right? But I have truly cried recently from crochet related things, and I want to make sure you know about it because it was so important to me. I was contacted, in case you haven't seen it, the video's been out for a couple weeks now, but I was contacted by a company called Yeezy who makes crochet kits for beginners, and they sent me a kit of this cute little cat beanie and asked me if I would, complete the kit and talk about it on my channel, which I did. But getting that email and starting that realization, I opened the email and I read it. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is it. I'm in the big leagues now. And I started crying, and then I took a deep breath. Like, get your grip, Amy, get your grip. and then I just took it in stride, and it's been a great relationship with Yeezy so far. And you're not gonna have seen it yet, but I've created a second video for a second bag. They've sent me another crochet kit, so I'm super excited about that. It sincerely brought a tear to my eye, and it was a very special time in my crochet life. But the second time recently that I cried, well, I'm going to throw this in there because it's starting to rear its ugly head. I fell down the stairs this morning. Luckily my hands were full, so I only went back on my back and on my ribs. So I didn't break a wrist or anything. I think I'm just really bruised up. And so I'm trying to get through this in one take without doing a bunch of retakes because I've grimaced from the pain. It's right up in my my ribs back here. So forgive me if I take a little hitch in my breath every little bit once in a while. Okay, I'm going to continue on. So you guys know about my love affair and then my pain, my deep pain that I felt regarding this I Love This Chunky Painted Canyon yarn colorway. I found 8 skeins of it on one of the Hobby Lobby clearances. So in addition to being a color that was magnificent, it was only $1.24 a skein, and I had 8 of them. And so I searched the internet and I finally found what I wanted to do with it, and I bought a pattern, which you guys know I never do. There's so much great free content out there that I haven't found perfect enough patterns that I have to have and I have to pay for them. But this one was $7, and I gladly paid it because I wanted to create this cardigan, this hooded cardigan with pockets. Blew my mind. I loved it, loved it. After I printed it, bought it and printed it and everything, I realized it was for worsted weight. So it hurt me and sat on the shelf for a little while. I thought I was going to be mathematically challenging myself to create a pattern for the chunky yarn, and that didn't happen. So I recently told you guys that I'm going to get over my tears. I've gotten over the pain of it, and I'm ready to use the yarn. And so I had 8 of them, and they are each 109 yards. And I found this pattern called the Kima Cardi from TL Yarn Crafts, and she uses I think it's called Hue and Me 5 bulky weight, but it's not as bulky as this. Now, the first thing that created some tears for me is that I created a swatch or a gauge, and I never ever do that. And so I was super excited that I thought I was really on the right path for this. So the great thing about this video, and I'm sure I'm going to link it, I am going to link it down below, is that she teaches you the construction. So even if you weren't going to do the stitches that she does, it's a great visual to see, create 2 panels, create a back piece, seam it here, do the sleeves, increase it like this. The sleeves are great. And then how to sew them on, blah, blah, blah. So other than the fact that there was more sewing involved than Amy likes, Amy cried at this sweater at the completion of this. Now, again, back up to the picture of the worsted weight pattern that I own now because I paid for it. She puts in stripes of this colorway, and I made the entire sweater this colorway. So I kept going like, nailed it, but I did. I freaking nailed it. I am so excited about this. And I stretched the yarn that I had to the umph degree in the way that I was creating it and leaving everything tied on. And I have some notes that I want to share with you. But first, let me put the sweater on and show you. I know you guys are going to be saying feel better and sending me well wishes, so I will thank you in advance for that. This is killing me. I forgot to mention I'm in editing, and I forgot to mention, again, out of 8 skeins of yarn, I've got this one ball left and all the scraps from cutting all my little edges, but I think I used it wonderfully. I don't know that I could have put another row in anywhere. And I used my 9mm hook by Clover. And now this might be kind of one of those where, depending on your yarn, depending on your hook, I've seen an MN be a 9mm. I've seen an MN be a 10mm. I've seen an M9 and an N10. The MN 910 is all over the board. So mine, again, on hers, she uses, if I'm not mistaken, she uses a 10mm hook. So I prefer this to my 10mm boy hook. The handle's a little bit wonky for me. I prefer this one. So that's what I used for this project. Can you believe this, guys? Look what I did. Look what I did. Look what I did. Look what I did. With yarn that blew my mind, that was close to my heart, that I loved. Oh my gosh. So you can see here, before the pockets and before this ribbing was put on, this green and this brown, these lined up perfectly. And so, let me scoot closer. Okay, I'm gonna have a few bloopers that bleep me because I'm cussing right now, man. Okay, so the front panels didn't match. And so, and this is funny, I was writing this as I went so I could share with you my journey. So I made the front 2 panels and the colors were not matching up. If the colors were totally off and they didn't look anything like I was trying to match, that'd be one thing. But if they're off just slightly, I tweak out a little bit. So the 2 didn't match, and so I started with 2 other skeins and worked those up as well because I thought that it was the same. I misread the pattern and I thought it was the same for the sleeves. So I'm getting up there and I'm like, man, this is super skinny up here. I don't know if it's gonna work. And it didn't work, obviously. It wasn't the right pattern. But anyway, so I had 4 panels to choose from. And the way that these 2 matched up perfectly was just exciting. I mean, look at the green and the browns. Like, that's what I wanted. That's 2 awesome skeins. They worked up. My tension was the same, kind of, you know. So that was awesome. My first panel, so you do the ribbing. You do the ribbing that's, you know, you chain 7, and you do this for lots and lots of patterns. You chain out 7 and then single crochet in the second and across, so you got 6 single crochets, and then you do that all the way, you know, back loop only, so that you have that ribbing. After that ribbing, and you turn and you start working up the panel, she has you do single crochet row first, but the pattern isn't written like that. Sorry, Tony. Or maybe I just didn't read it like that. Maybe I just didn't read it right. But so the first one that I watched her on, I did single crochets before I started what the pattern is. On everything else, I did not. So that was kind of funny to me. So I had to frog both my sleeves and work my way. And again, I wanted them somewhat similar, but different. I mean, I couldn't have gotten better, right? See, my arms are like perfect, almost perfectly symmetrical. This one ran into the green a little bit, and this one stopped at white. So that was kind of funny to me. But then I redid the sleeves and it was perfect. So the back panel, I always work in other than the gauge that I showed you in the beginning, I know that what I crochet ends up bigger. So I knew that I was in my mind going to decrease something because I just know. So the back panel, I worked, even though I am not a size small, I worked all the stitching for a small cardigan, and the back I even reduced the number. Your finished rows are for 46 stitches on the small, and I stopped at 40 stitches. Just in how my ribbing was going across, I'm like, you know what, this is going to be too big, and it's something that I have struggled with, and this is not too big, so boom, in your face. So trim frogging to start, same color both sides. Oh, so that's what I was doing on once I went to start the sleeves. This, like, one of the two of them had more white or something started, and I trimmed that off so that when I started with the sleeves, it was like a full amount of that first color, whatever color it was a full amount of that first color, so I knew that the sleeves would then be symmetrical. I woke up after doing the panels, I figured that out. This is kind of crazy pattern color wise, and it is a textured stitch. She does it in a plain cream colored, kind of a cream colored solid, but you know me, and always saying that if the pattern of the yarn is crazy, you don't necessarily need a crazy stitch, right? So this could have been done in double crochets and single crochets, whatever. You didn't have to necessarily follow her pattern, and I think that that's, like I said, what's great about her video is that she kind of shows you like the dimensions, and you could really change it up to do anything that you want. So I tried at one point, I could see on the sleeves that maybe they were two different colorways, and you know, are different dye lots, and so maybe one had a longer section of green than the other or something. But at one point I did the ribbing of one sleeve and the ribbing of the other sleeve, and then I did the first 3 rows and then the first 3 rows, so that I build my sleeves together and then they're done. It's a mind thing for me. If I create a sleeve or a mitten or whatever, and then I still got to do the other one, it doesn't feel symmetrical no matter what. So I like to work on them together so that in my mind it's very symmetrical. And I tried to slow down my tension or speed up my tension to match where my color was changing in the row. It was kind of stupid because it didn't get me anywhere. And then I still thought that the sleeves were a little bit short. So I measured, I had my husband help hold up and measure, and thought I would add another 4 inches of sleeve to make it really match. I don't know if I'm super, you know, again, it was a small pattern, so maybe I got longer arms than a small person, whatever. So I added 4 rows when I told myself 4 inches, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't look quite right. And then I added some more, and I think I possibly could have done 2 less and saved a little bit of yarn. But my point was that I wanted the body of the sweater to be longer, so I kept not tying off on sections like the ribbing. I created the ribbing, and then I wasn't sure how long it was going to be based on how long the sweater was going to be, based on how much yarn I have left over from the sleeves, blah, 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 blah. So everything was like a backward step to make sure that I was on track to make the sweater the right way. Okay, I'm almost done. So I made the panels, and then I made the collar, and I knew I needed enough to sew in the ends, so I sectioned off some white parts that you see to do the sewing. You sew it from the wrist down like this, and I wanted to make sure that I would have enough, because then pockets could be optional, right? I could do the whole sweater and not do the pockets and have enough extra for other parts. But anyway, I did what I did. And then I changed up the ribbing on the pockets as well. Her ribbing is 6 single crochets like you have here, and she had done that for the pockets as well. And I kind of thought that that was too high for the length. You know, again, pockets are optional. That's where my hands go. That might not be where your hands go, you know. But the ribbing, I wanted to shorten it, so I put the ribbing as only 4 single crochets for the pockets. So this is only 4 single crochets, and these are 6 single crochets. Also, if I were making another one, I mean, she acknowledges that there's some stretch in the wear. You know, once you start wearing it, it's really going to kind of stretch. So it will be, you know, it covers my patootie, and you know, it's right where I want it to be. It's not too much extra here in front. I don't feel like it's too much extra here. I'm so excited. If you guys have 8 skeins of I love this cotton, no, I always say cotton. I love this chunky. And again, this was the colorway Painted Canyon. It's 100% acrylic. They suggest a 6.5 millimeter hook, crochet hook. So if you're going to substitute a bulky weight yarn, because again, fives, you'll see that a 5-weight yarn can come anywhere from, you know, suggested crochet hook a 6 all the way up to 8 or more. You know, it's all over the board depending on the yarn. So if you've got a 5 bulky that takes a 6.5 millimeter hook and you have 8 skeins of it, you could follow, and the same tension as me, you could follow this Kima Cardi pattern and end up with a sweater and be in love with yourself for it. Because I am. I'm totally, this is, so I started to think at one point, I'm disappointed that I wasn't getting that feel of the pattern, you know, the pretty stripes with a pattern. And of course it came, you know, this one comes without a hood. I didn't really need the hood anymore. You know, I liked this without. Oh my gosh, I just like it so much. And I sewed and sewed and sewed. I think for like, I started working on this Friday after work and I couldn't put it down. I couldn't put it down. It was mad. I mean, like if you ever saw Big Bang Theory and you see where Penny eats the Cheeto out of her hair, you'll get what I mean. All right, guys, I'm going to be okay. I promise I'm going to be okay. I'm just a little bruised up. I fell kind of backwards and went down like 5 steps on hardwood. I had my laptop bag in my hand and my favorite coffee cup in my hand. I hit my elbow and the coffee cup went flying. The laptop bag went flying. Coffee all over the wall, all over the stairs, all over me, and bounced my head, I think, off 3 steps. I don't even feel the head hurt. What I feel most is right here again. And I'm going to have a nice bruise. I landed on my thigh, on my buttocks, on my bottom end, whatever. So I'll be fine. I've got a heat pack on it. I did earlier and then stopped to take the video. And then I'm going to go downstairs and put it on again. All right. So thanks for sitting with me, guys. Have a wonderfully blessed day. Please do come back and see me again. Thank you. Bye-bye.